You said in a past episode that you guys all work out, but two of you are on steroids. Is that true? Two of the Sway boys.
I don't think they are anymore. I think their cycle's over.
But they were cycling.
Yeah, what are we talking? D-ball?
Yeah.
What's up, guys? Derek, moreplates.com. Today we're going to be talking about this timestamp you guys sent me from the BFFs podcast with Dave Portnoy and Josh Richards with Cody and Noel Miller. So Cody and Noel Miller are actually pretty fucking hilarious guys that I watch their podcast sometimes. I've actually been to their show too. It's fucking hilarious. So I would recommend it if they are, I don't know if this thing ever fucking quits. What's going on in the world right now, definitely go see their show. If they're in your area, they're pretty fucking funny. But anyways, the part in particular you guys timestamped me was the part where they talk about steroid use in the Sway house. So obviously everyone knows the running joke. Bryce is on steroids, everyone's on fucking gear, everyone's kind of, just telling on each other and ratting each other out, but it's kind of just an inside joke. And then relatively recently, Bryce actually came out and said that my speculation was correct, and people who are accusing him of gear are basically correct, but more specifically it was SARMs, which is what I said in my video. I don't remember what the video was called. It was like Bryce's comes out about his natty status or something like that. You can check that out if you want to watch him talking about that, but in this one specifically, Cody hasn't seen that presumably because he's asking Josh about the natty status of the Sway guys, and it's like, everyone wants to say, like, the natty or nots are so fucking dumb. Like, who cares? And it's like, everyone fucking cares. Everyone's asking the same shit, dude. Like, here's Cody and he's, like, very, very interested. Like, everyone is interested in this shit. It's a very, very entertaining concept. And in addition to that, it's obviously good information to put out so you don't have unrealistic standards, especially when you have young individuals who are watching this shit, especially TikTok stars, and are heavily influenced by their behavior, their body composition, the fucking shit they're posting on a daily basis. So stuff like this is good to put out there that, and especially not just, if somebody took gear or not, but more specifically, what kind of risks come along with that. And this is what we're going to get into in this video in particular.
Hold on, can I ask Josh a question?
Yeah.
You said in a past episode that you guys all work out, but two of you are on steroids. Is that true? Two of the Sway boys.
I don't think they are anymore. I think
this guy's voice is like the most fucking androgenic motherfucking thing ever. And he's not the one who takes gear. And I don't know if he does this voice on purpose, but it's like he hit puberty like 3 times over. It's like the voice of like a bro surfer crossed with like the fucking cinematic trailer, like movie announcer voice.
You pull in and you just get spit right out of them. And you just drop in and just smack the lip. Whoop-ah! Drop down, snap. Ah!
I think their cycle's over.
But they were cycling.
Yeah, what are we talking? D-ball?
Yeah. No, everyone's talked about it. Like,
yeah, so everyone has talked about it, and people have actually, admitted to it, or at least Bryce did. The second individual has not admitted to it, but I've speculated who it is. You guys can check out my old videos if you care.
It's not like exactly steroids. It's like some like kind of steroid thing. I don't even know. It's weird.
Kind of steroid.
It's like a testosterone booster.
It's like
So here they're trying to talk about the science behind what it is, and Cody is very confused because he doesn't understand what else could it be. He hasn't heard of selective androgen receptor modulators before, and Josh has, so I'm surprised he didn't just say it's SARMs, because he fucking knows he knows what it is, dude. Like, he has seen it enough times and has talked about it with his friends enough times to know what it is, but it's not a testosterone booster. In fact, this shit will nuke your testosterone levels, and that's part of the reason why it is problematic, especially for young developing teens. And let's see if there's anything else they say.
Barry Bonds wasn't on steroids, he was on the clear.
No, the clear is a fucking anabolic steroid, so this is not a good example whatsoever. Anything derived from testosterone as the root androgen, even if it is 5-alpha reduced into DHT and it's a DHT derivative, or it is a 19-nortestosterone derivative, it is still an anabolic steroid. So the clear is not, an exotic compound that is not somehow anabolic androgenic steroid. It is in that class. SARMs, on the other hand, are not derived from testosterone. They are actually derived from anti-androgens, which is kind of interesting considering they are used as androgen receptor agonists, aka something that binds to the androgen receptor and induces RNA transcription at the receptor site to build muscle and induce muscle protein synthesis. But the anti-androgens, typically they do the complete fucking opposite. They occupy the receptor and block testosterone and DHT from binding. So this is a totally different compound than androgens. Like androgens and anabolic steroids bind to the androgen receptor as well as other receptors in the body, and they produce a lot of different effects that are not just confined to protein expression, whereas these selective androgen receptor modulators, they are designed to be targeted in their action, and how they work is they go to the same receptor that testosterone would otherwise bind to and competes with it for binding. If there is testosterone there, eventually you'll be so suppressed while you're on them that you won't have much testosterone to compete with. But once it's there, it binds to the androgen receptor and causes gene expression almost like a skeleton key. However, it is not bioidentical, nor is it derived from a androgen like all of the other synthetic anabolic steroids. So the way it induces protein expression and causes muscle growth is unique in that it is a drug that is designed for a targeted outcome with a relative lack of interaction with other things like androgens do that cause a viralization and secondary male sexual characteristic development and things of this nature.
But it's like, you know, it's a fucking steroid. The TikTok kids are like the elevated. They don't want to get caught by like the TikTok police, so they're always one step ahead.
The athletic commission is going to kick you guys off.
The YouTube Anti-Doping Association. That's what we should have.
Kids testing them?
Oh man, these guys aren't natural. We got to get them off the platform.
We got to get the first cafe off the platform.
So anyway, they're talking about how they're not using steroids, but they're using steroids. And it's like, no, they are using selective androgen receptor modulators, which are not steroids. However, they can produce similar muscle building outcomes to certain steroids at certain dosages. They have a smaller ceiling on how much muscle they can build for sure. But they're more tissue selective in general for muscle building relative to other stuff. And when I say other stuff, I mean things like hair loss, any kind of androgenic side effect you would think of. However, in practical application, a lot of these SARMs being used are not SARMs that have completed clinical trials. They are compounds that are still in clinical trials and are actually still research chemicals. They are not approved for human use necessarily, although they are being tested on humans, or at least a few of them are right now. Actually, a lot of them are, but some of the ones being used by these TikTok stars may not even be the human approved ones. Well, actually, there aren't any that are technically human approved, but ones that are actually being trialed on humans at the moment and have shown to be well tolerated and have a relative lack of side effects. However, you have to understand that these compounds, again, just because they are not a steroid and they are supposed to be tissue selective, it doesn't mean they don't come with their issues. They're not fault-free. They are still in their development process, and is why their side effect profile actually resembles a steroid very closely in many situations. So some of these SARMs are actually less tissue selective than some anabolic steroids. At least that's what it seems to be in certain cases, where we see more hair loss, we see more side effects like crushing of HDL levels, crushing, inflation of liver enzymes going through the roof, liver toxicity, things of this nature that you would traditionally see with harsh anabolic steroids, SHBG levels getting crushed into the ground, extreme levels of testosterone suppression. This is stuff you see with SARMs, and you also see with anabolic steroids, and in some cases to a lesser degree, depending on which compound you're comparing. So SARMs are not side effect free. They are not to be looked at in a lesser risk profile than certain steroids. If you're going to compare ostarine versus trenbolone, obviously ostarine is a more well-tolerated agent that's going to have far less side effects and be less problematic. But, for traditional agents, comparing testosterone to a traditional SARM, an LGD or something, it's not like they're, completely different, where testosterone is the worst thing ever and LGD is this godsend compound that has no issues. You are still going to see extreme levels of testosterone suppression. You're going to get shut down when you use these things. If you're a fucking 14-year-old kid on TikTok trying to make it big, do not take this stuff thinking you're going to get a sick physique. Maybe it might help build some muscle, but it might be at the expense of literally growing your goddamn dick to full size, getting sexual maturation, getting the secondary male sexual characteristic development, getting the deep fucking sick surfer cinematic movie announcer voice that Josh Richards has.
Smack the lip, whoop-ah, drop down, snap, ah.
You might not get that shit because your balls might not fucking drop properly because you're constantly cycling SARMs from age 13 watching these TikTok stars. So do not fall into the trap of thinking that these compounds are side effect free just because, you know, you see a Bryce Hall use them or whatever and he gets good results and, you know, he doesn't talk about the side effects or whatever. Like, it's not his responsibility to teach anybody about this shit. And it was good enough for him to be transparent enough to say what he was doing because most people just lie out their fucking teeth and deceive the public. But at the same time, the education needs to be put out there because there are kids who are going to hear of this shit and then want to use it. And you need to know that using this kind of stuff when you're a teenager is a fucking horrible idea. You might be in the middle of puberty and impeding that process with things that are going to shut down your testosterone levels, shut down your DHT levels, and then after that you do a post-cycle therapy because you think you're being responsible, and then you start impeding estrogen receptor activation, causing agonism of estrogen receptors in certain bones that cause premature growth plate closure and maybe even halting you, stunting your growth and preventing you from getting to full height. This is shit that might be a reality and is stuff you want to avoid if you're a young kid and you're easily influenced by these, you know, things you see on TikTok. So just be careful of this shit. I just wanted to make this quick video to kind of lay it out there because I know it's almost certain that some people are going to see something like, you know, Bryce Hall using SARMs or whatever and think that it's the fast track to, you know, TikTok stardom for them. And you have to realize it's not like the fitness industry works now where the best physique gets the most clout, you know? Like, you have the top Mr. Olympias nowadays who will not even, you know, garner a significant following on YouTube. Like, people don't even want to tune into some of the top IFBB Pro videos because of their lack of personality. And that's not all of them, by the way. Some of them are, you know, very, very charismatic individuals, but some of them just like are so boring and don't give a fuck. And they go to the gym, they come home, they play video games, they jerk off, and they don't fucking care about anything else. And they put all their energy into eating and training, which is obviously an intensive process if you're a fucking 300-pound bodybuilder, or even if you're 250 or whatever the fuck. But these guys, like, it's not like the more muscle you have, it equates to more following. It just doesn't work like that. Like, I know some of the biggest fitness influencers in the fitness industry are guys that are like 160, 170 pounds, totally natural. And they garner a huge audience that respects them and tunes into their high quality information and does not give a fuck that they're not 220 shredded or even 200 shredded or even 190 shredded. So do not fall into the trap of just feeling like you have to hop on drugs, especially when you don't understand how they work. That is the main thing. Like, if you're a teenager, if you're gonna wait until your mid 20s or your early 20s, like, okay, whatever, like, do a shit ton of research, prepare yourself, get a goddamn foundation of training and diet under your belt and learn the pharmacology before you delve into this shit. Because most, you know, some individuals are dead set on fucking doing it, but I'm telling you, at least drag it out so when you use them, you understand how they work and you know how to manage these side effects and how to as safely use them as possible. And in addition to that, make sure you're not using them during a time in your life where you actually need your endogenous hormones working at full capacity to make you actually get through puberty properly and not fuck something up severely that you will regret down the line. So that is the takeaway message of the video. So thank you guys for watching. Like, subscribe, check out my blog, moreplates.com, follow me on Instagram at moreplates_moredates, Facebook, Snapchat, BitChute, Twitter, TikTok, Apple Podcasts. If you want to learn more about SARMs, you can check out some of my really old videos. I have a playlist dedicated to performance enhancement, as well as if you just filter into my oldest videos, or even if you just type them in the YouTube search bar, you'll probably find them. And they're probably the most informative videos on YouTube of each SARM, in my opinion, and breaks down you know, exactly what they do, the pharmacology, pharmacodynamics, pharmacokinetics, etc. And I advise you learn. Like, even for the sake of education for years down the road, if this is something you are dead set on doing, learn how it fucking works, but do not do it at a time where you are too young or you just don't understand them. That is, like I said, my advice. So if you want to support the channel, you can check out anything I am associated with in the video description below. My TRT clinic, it's all telemedicine from the comfort of your own home. I recommended lab test panels. Something you should definitely be getting, at least before you start anything, is baseline blood work. Whether that is TRT, whether that is a full-blown cycle, whether that is mid-cycle to see how fucked up your blood work is while you are at peak exposure, this is all shit you should be doing. It is no-brainer stuff, obviously. And anything else, you know, Gorilla Mind, nootropic formulas, Gorilla Mode, pre-workout formulas I designed myself from scratch, and everything else I'm associated with, it's all in the video description below. And if you're a newbie to bodybuilding, you want to see how to maximize your diet to gain as much muscle as possible, I would recommend the diet model that I've linked in the video description below as well. It's a very newbie, I don't know, like diet 101 approach to building muscle and also hitting your micronutrients, which is something that often goes completely neglected by bodybuilding diets you'll find online that are, you know, tailored for building as much muscle as possible, but only factor in protein, carbs, fats, and calories, and don't do fucking anything to look at your micronutrient intake, which is of critical importance when you are, especially, like obviously it's of critical importance of any time of your life, but when you're in puberty specifically too, and you rely on having peaked androgen levels, you know, not having ridiculously heightened estrogen levels or inhibited estrogen metabolism, which might otherwise actually cause premature growth plate closure and make you shorter, this is the kind of shit you want to have completely dialed in. So if you want to learn about diet, you can check that out, and anything else I'm associated with, it's all in the video description below. Thank you guys for watching. Talk to you soon.